This ant must have not experienced life. Just eating a sugar cube has already exploded its innate strength. Production increased dizzyingly. The employees present below looked at it in amazement. The red ant not far away noticed this and immediately ran back to headquarters to report everything to the Ant King. Red ants and black ants were originally separate waters, but for the development of the race, they had to fight for that sugar cube. The Red Ant King turned his chubby body backwards and ordered the summoning of countless red ant armies to march towards the Black Ant Kingdom. The whole army was noisy and overwhelming. When they arrived, they surrounded the entire castle of the Black Ants. At this time, the Black Ants had also detected an unstable situation. The Red Ant army was ready for battle. They had installed stone-throwing machines, even brought chemical weapons, insect spray. The Red Ant general gave the order and the first attack began. First, they launched a long-range attack, using rubber guns to shoot stones and horsehead nuts into the Black Ant castle. Very quickly, the entire Black Ant Kingdom was pierced with holes. Then, the Red Ants fired another box of matches. In midair, the pile of matches split in all directions, turning into countless arrows flying down from the sky. Fortunately, the Black Ants were quite agile and avoided this fatal attack. The Black Ant army immediately began to counterattack. The Black Ants carried a box of cotton swabs up and poured them down from the wall. The damage was not strong, only a few enemies were dealt with. At this time, the Black Ant army brought another box of effervescent tablets. Unexpectedly, ants also knew how to use chemical weapons. The red ants couldn't avoid it and were crushed in an instant. The effervescent tablet turned into a moat protecting the city, preventing the red ants from attacking. Then another pile of caterpillar pills was poured down and sprinkled with some salt. The red ants were not easy either, firing a huge iron ball that pierced the Black Ant castle. The Black Ant King quickly summoned an emergency meeting. This attack, if they didn't get the sugar cube, the red ants would definitely not let it go. To counter the enemy's attack, the Black Ant general suggested using missiles to counterattack. After being approved by the Black Ant King, they went to find a box of matches and a pile of fireworks rockets in the warehouse. The ant workers neatly arranged the fireworks rockets on the wall. They aimed at the Red Ant army. At this time, the Red Ant army was using pine cones to try to knock down the city gate. The Red Ant general stood in the middle of the battlefield and shouted loudly that he must catch all the black ants in one net. After preparing, a group of black ants surrounded the matchbox but didn't know how to use it. The Black Ant general paced anxiously. A small black ant pushed the matchbox out with all its strength and there was still a match in the box. After carefully studying the instructions for use, the Black Ant general quickly held up a matchstick and stood on the edge of the matchbox grinding for a while, finally lit the matchstick. Seeing the formation of black ants, red ants were scared and kept retreating backwards. Immediately afterwards, the Black Ant general lit a firework rocket fuse. A loud explosion sounded, in front of the attentive gaze of the Red Ant army. The rocket spun in midair, drawing a beautiful curve and even turned more than 10 laps. Speaking of which, GPS positioning is also great. Finally, the rocket fell into the middle of the Red Ant army and exploded, causing countless red ant casualties. When the Black Ant was about to light the second rocket, the match had gone out. The Red Ant general saw that there was no movement on the other side, so he ordered the Red Ant army to attack without fear. They concentrated all their firepower. Faced with the continuous attack tactics of the Red Ants, the Black Ants could not resist. Everyone was anxious and pacing back and forth. When the Black Ant army was in chaos, the Ladybird suddenly remembered that there was another box of matches in the deep forest. It told the Black Ant general this news. Then they brought a 500-franc bill and folded it into a paper airplane. The Ladybird sat on it and the plane took off. The red ants saw this and began to spray insecticide at the Ladybird, but it still flew around and avoided it. When the paper airplane was about to fall to the ground, the Ladybird spread its wings and flew. The Black Ants watched the Ladybird fly away and waited for it to return soon, because the life and death of the Black Ant Kingdom all depended on it. On the other side, the Ladybird stumbled over mountains and rivers, eating a little when hungry to replenish energy. Finally, it reached its destination and found that box of matches. When it was about to lift the box of matches up, a large insect appeared not far away from it. It turned out to be a spider. It lifted up the box of matches and intended to take it home. The Ladybird had to follow silently behind. At this time, the sky was getting dark. The Black Ants had run out of food and ammunition. They could only pin their hopes on the little Ladybird. The box of matches was taken back to its villa by the spider. The Ladybird bravely followed in. At this time, a frog stuck out its tongue to catch the Ladybird, accidentally knocking down the spider's villa. As a result, the green frog was crushed to death by the house. The Ladybird also fell into a coma. After waking up, it realized that the spider had saved it. The kind spider even took out delicious food to entertain it. The Ladybird quickly recovered its strength. It told the spider that it came here for the box of matches. Without explaining, the ladybird picked up the box of matches and flew away. Halfway through, it met a family of beetles bullying a female ladybird. The righteous and brave little ladybird flew over and shouted to let her go. The 5 beetles were instantly angered and chased after it, starting a great battle in the air and performing a dramatic speed race. The spider still thought it was about to have a full meal and was excitedly preparing to eat its prey. As a result, the newly woven web had to be repaired. The little ladybird led the beetles to the main road. At this time, a car was coming from the opposite direction. The ladybird used skillful techniques to fly around and avoid it, but the beetle family was not so lucky and hit the car directly, shattered and scattered. The victorious little ladybird was extremely happy and sang happily on its way back to find that female ladybird. It told her friend that it had to go back to save the Black Ant Kingdom now and must wait here for it to return. Then it picked up the box of matches and continued on its way. At this time, the Red Ant Army was still attacking the city. They fought from morning till night. The castle of the Black Ant Kingdom had been shattered and swayed and was about to collapse. Just then, after going through many difficulties, the little ladybird finally brought back matches. Now the Black Ant Kingdom is saved. The Black Ants expressed their gratitude to the little ladybird. Then they lit all the matches. The Red Ants saw it and thought it was over. The Black Ants lit the fuse of all the fireworks. Success or failure was in this moment. The pile of fireworks flew around like real rockets. Finally, it fell into the middle of the Red Ant Army, causing a series of large explosions.
Show you all the stars I used to hide. No one ever seemed to realize. But baby, you will know me. Baby, you will know.
Faced with such powerful weapons, the Red Ant Army was beaten and had to flee in all directions. Even the insecticide spray bottle exploded. It was really killing 100 enemies and losing 8,000 of our own troops, a big loss. The Red Ant Army lost without armor and fled in chaos. Fortunately, they ran fast, otherwise they would surely be burned to death. In this battle, to defend the garden, the Black Ant team finally won. A few days later, through the tireless efforts of the Black Ants, the castle was rebuilt. The little ladybird said goodbye to its friends and returned to find its girlfriend from before. It married the female ladybird it loved and gave birth to 5 cute little ladybirds.